Did you know that despite making up 50% of sellers, women hold just 30% of the sales leadership roles? It's not a pipeline problem. That's a promotion problem. Welcome to the Women in Sales Leadership podcast, where we make the new rules of success for high-performing women in sales. And I'm your host, Amy Evans, sales leader turned executive coach. After 25 years in the trenches at Salesforce, EDP, and startups, I now help ambitious sales managers step into second-line leadership roles. If you are ready to lead with authority, earn what you're worth, and make a bigger impact, you are in the right place. Click follow so the next episode will be waiting for you. Hello, and welcome back to Women in Sales Leadership. I'm so glad you're here today. You are going to love today's conversation because we are hitting on a topic that nearly every single leader, executive, founder I know struggles with. And everybody uses this word. They're always talking about this thing and how we should be doing it. And, some of us do a great job at it and some don't. So I'll stop with the mystery and I'll tell you what it is. We are talking about coaching today. Coaching for leaders, whether you're a sales leader, you're a CEO, you're a founder, wherever you are. And if you are working with people or other humans, you have to be able to do this and do it really well. And we are so lucky today to have Donna Lin, who I personally love, and you'll hear why. So Donna is a badass. She's a former sales leader at a really huge company. And what she does that's so amazing is that she teaches and trains leaders and sales leaders specifically how to coach better. So Donna Lin, I am so glad that you are here on Women in Sales Leadership. Thank you so much for joining.
I am delighted to be here and I'm excited for the conversation because I think it is, to your point, really important. Every one of us that engages with other people has to deal with these skills. So I'm excited to get into it.
There are some amazing stats about coaching and leadership. Can you lay that on this crew right now so they can get that and absorb it?
I actually think we all know everything that I'm going to share. We already know. But it's about creating awareness to these things. We all have it within us. And the skills I'm going to talk about today are applicable and available to each of us. So that's the great news. The bad news is a lot of us who need these skills aren't necessarily aware that we need these skills. So one study was showing that 87% of managers who were surveyed would agree with the statement, I am a great coach. So 87% of us think we are, but only a third of the respondents felt that their manager was actually a good coach. There is a disconnect. I know there is a disconnect. We think we are all that and we are not. We are failing and we don't have that awareness to identify that gap. And it makes sense because self-awareness is incredibly hard. And the power imbalance when your employee wants to give upward feedback to say you're not doing a great job coaching, that is really hard. They have to be able to trust you. There has to be an element of psychological safety on the team. They have to know that you're not going to then, there will not be any retribution for giving constructive feedback. And that's why so many employees say nothing. But they answer the survey, they check the box on the survey wholeheartedly, but they will never tell you to your face. And that's why I think all of us, no matter where we are, if we are a great coach or not, let's all look at there are ways that we can improve wherever we are on the spectrum.
You are going to learn something today is what I just heard. I'm here for it. I'm so here for it because I can get better. I do coaching for a living. And I have coaches, so I take the vitamins that I prescribe. And every time I get coached by someone else, I learn how to be a better coach. You talked about this gap. Like we think we're coaching really well. And the reality is the teams are like, not so much. You're not a great coach. I don't feel like you're being a good coach. And I wanted to help you learn. Why do you think there's such a gap, Donna, between what managers perceive and the reality of what's going on?
I think number one, there is a misconception of what coaching is. I think many managers think they're coaching, but in reality, they're giving advice. They're probably sharing feedback and they're giving answers, tactical advice, guardrails. They're teaching, but they're not coaching. And I think it's important to distinguish between the two. Coaching is where you're not telling the other person what to do, but they're coming to that conclusion on their own. You're asking questions, you're having a dialogue, and you're allowing that other person to come to that conclusion on their own versus advice, teaching, directing, which are all the elements that a manager does need to do. I'm not saying that you should never do those things. Absolutely. There is a time and a place for those things, but they're different than coaching. And that is the piece. Coaching allows us to reach our full potential. So if you're not there, the next time they have that problem, will your direct report be able to overcome it on their own?
I don't care where you are in your leadership experience. You have room to grow in this area. I love you. I'm telling you the truth because you can always trust me to do that. What I've seen is, and I experienced this myself. I love to give advice. I know what everybody ought to do. I have such good ideas.
Yeah.
I think I do anyway. Requires so much self-restraint to pull back from the jump to the answer. And what I know is true that every leader I work with is dealing with is they're just struggling with the time. They're like, I can hear you saying, Donna, I would love to do this coaching. How the hell do I get it done when I only have, a finite amount of time to work with somebody in a conversation and get shit done?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So I will talk about time and having enough time, but I want to just address something you said. You said, I love giving advice. And there's things there. One, we all love it, but the reality is our advice might not actually be as good as we think it is.
Right.
Sorry.
Ow.
That's the reality. I know. Ouch. But that's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And number two, of course you love giving advice. I think as a manager, many of us have this misconception that it is our job to have the answers, especially as you get further along in your career. You're no longer tactical. You're not necessarily in the weeds, in the trenches in the same way. So we feel erroneously that we just need to have the answers. And that is how we add value to our team members. And we have a responsibility to help them solve their problems. The other thing is a lot of us, when we get promoted into management, especially when we go from being an individual contributor to a manager, we were really good at doing that job that we just got promoted from. And it is really easy for us to give that advice to the person that is doing the job that we were amazing at. And that's why we got promoted. So it's a very natural tendency to love giving advice. But then you touched on the last piece, which is it is faster to do than teach. We don't have enough time. That is the most precious resource, especially in sales, where we are running fast and we often don't have opportunities to have teachable moments. When a deal is on the line, this is not the time for us to teach.
It's like end of the quarter today in some businesses somewhere. By the time we put this up, it'll be somebody's end of month or end of quarter.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not the teaching moment is what you're saying.
Not the teaching moment. So I think when it comes down to your question about, but I don't have time. I'm a leader. I'm stretched. I have 7 people reporting to me. It is faster for me to teach. The reality is there is a time and a place. The way that I think about it is when my direct report comes to me with an opportunity to teach, or to coach versus to tell, I always think to myself, are they standing in a puddle or are they standing in an ocean?
Mm.
Do I need to help them before they drown? Or can I take a moment and help them so they can figure out how to get out of the puddle themselves? They could just got to step over that puddle. And so assessing the situation, there are moments where you are going to need to direct when it's high urgency, when the stakes are high, when you cannot fail, you cannot make a mistake. Go into directing mode, permission granted.
Mm-hmm.
That is okay.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have an opportunity where you're trying to develop a skill, you're trying to develop a foundational skill that is going to help that person in the long run, when you have a little bit of margin for error, margin for figuring out the best path forward, maybe it's not black and white, and maybe it's a figure it out together situation. That's where coaching comes into play. So I think the timing piece is about figuring out what needs to happen in any given circumstance. And the second thing I will say on timing is we often leave coaching conversations to quarterly performance reviews. Many of us as leaders, we are guilty of it.
So guilty.
I saw one stat, 96% of employees want more regular feedback.
Mm.
We're not giving we're not taking opportunities to give feedback regularly, and that's a missed opportunity. So taking opportunities in a one-on-one, having an element, asking one or two good coaching questions in a one-on-one, after a customer meeting, in a team meeting, in a group setting. It's about how do we lift each other up? How do we get better? And how do we ask the right questions and not just focus on having the right answers?
Okay. I want to stop you because I'm getting everything you're saying. And what I'm thinking about what are some shortcuts, or are there some go-to questions, Donna, that are those ones that help you kick off that coaching moment? I see a coaching moment. I want to have the time to do it. And how do I kick off that conversation? What's my question I want to ask?
First of all, whatever question it is, I always try to start with the word what or how as opposed to why. Ooh. So let's say a rep comes to you, they've just missed quota. Instead of saying, why did you miss quota? Why didn't you hit? You can say, start with the what or how. So what got in the way this quarter of you hitting quota?
Ooh.
Or how can we approach this next quarter to make sure the same outcome doesn't happen? First off, I think how you set up the question is very important, because as soon as you say why did you miss quota? Guards go up, the person, your direct report's on defense mode, and it's a different vibe. Would you agree, Amy?
Oh, fully would agree. Yeah. I mean, the why puts you on your back foot immediately, like defensive mode. What, or, what happened? What got in the way? What did you notice about last quarter that was a struggle for you?
Yeah.
That you found challenging? How do you think you could have handled it differently, or I'm probably not even doing a great job with that one, but I'm getting it. I'm picking up what you're putting down there. Okay.
So, and I think, so we're going to start with the phrasing. How are we going to set up this question?
Yeah.
The second piece, I think, is about leading with curiosity and not judgment. So when you are coaching, your goal is to ask questions that open up a conversation, provoke reflection, expands thinking, versus judging and trying to lead the direct report, or as I say, lead the witness. You should not be trying to lead the witness to your advice or to your outcome that you're trying to set. Your goal is to try to unlock within them their own reflections. It's about them. It's not about you as a leader. And how do you make sure the focus of your questions allows that direct report to get the most from the answer?
Hey, quick break for a second. If you are a sales leader who is ready for your next step up, and I'm talking about leading other sales leaders, becoming a director, a VP, even a CRO, then this is for you. I'm hosting a free workshop. You can grab your spot at amyevanscoaching.com. This is for sales leaders who are in tech and are wanting to land jobs where you can earn anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million a year. And again, you can grab your spot at amyevanscoaching.com. Okay, back to the show. All right. So you gave some clues for the opening questions. Are there other questions that you feel like need to go in the toolbox for when you're in that conversation?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a book called The Coaching Habit. There are 7 questions in that book that are very open-ended. Questions like, what did you find that was most valuable today? So when you're having a conversation, you're sharing things, you can ask them, reflect, what was valuable? There are so many coaching questions you can ask. I personally don't necessarily have them prepared. I try to be in the conversation and I try to use those principles that I shared, which is ask what and how questions, not why. Make sure that you're not giving advice and the questions that you're asking are from a place of curiosity and a place where the direct report is going to learn from the outcome. And I'm not just on a fact-finding mission. I want you to come to the outcome that you're looking for.
Yeah. It's such a different feeling when I've been coached to have someone try to like lay their advice down on me.
Yes.
That I haven't asked for. Versus being asked the question and being forced to think about it and reflect and come up with the response and then come up with my own plan. And then if I need help with the plan, that's when I've invited, like, help me out here. Yeah. Right. What else should I try? Those things can be useful. Go ahead.
I think it's a great point that you raise because the person that you're working with has to be open to receive the coaching. If they are not ready to receive it, it's not going to land. And my husband and I have a little expression we use when we're having a conversation about maybe we had a tough day at work. I will say to him, or he'll say to me more often, are you looking for a trash can or a toolkit? And the trash can is, I just need to vent. I need someone to hear me, empathize, but I don't want to hear your advice. I don't want to hear your advice. I don't need you to tell me that I'm thinking about it the wrong way. Versus a toolkit is more, let's talk through it. Let's work through it. So I think, Amy, you bring up a really important point. Sometimes we're not ready to receive advice or coaching. Yeah. And we need to make sure that we're finding opportunities to engage with our direct reports when they are ready to receive what we have to say.
How did you get to where you are in having so much learning about coaching? Talk about you for a second, if you would, please.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't love talking about themselves, Amy? Absolutely.
Favorite topic. Me.
I've been a people leader for a very long time. I think 3 years out of university, was my first managerial role, and I've been a manager ever since. And I've been lucky to work at very amazing corporations like American Express and Salesforce that have very robust resources for leaders. And for me, I not only was able to take courses like situational leadership, but also I was given opportunity so early on in my career to lead people. And the bulk of what I've learned is from doing. It's not from the theory, it's from experience. And I wasn't necessarily always great at coaching. There was a time when I'd love to tell you a story, if I may.
I love it. Bring it.
When I first had my first performance issue on a team, I really did the wrong thing. I'll admit. I knew that there was a performance challenge. And so I decided I was going to document, because that's what I do. I'm very good at articulating and communicating, but I think I over communicated. So instead of focusing on one thing that that person needed to change, I had a laundry list. And
Ooh.
I think that person was overwhelmed by all the things that I had identified. And I realized actually I didn't necessarily set that person up for success when I hired him. And the reason is he came from a different background. And so I felt early on I needed to jump in. I needed to give advice. I needed to tell him what he needed to do. After a meeting, I would debrief. I would tell him, here's how I would approach it. All these things, while they were helpful perhaps in the moment, they were short-term fixes. And I think that did him a disservice, because then when I went to give him the performance coaching and that feedback, and I had this laundry list, it was overwhelming.
Oh,
It was too much. He
yeah.
wasn't able to distill it down on what actually needed to change. I was then moved to a different role. And I thought in my mind, I just don't know if that person is right for the job. But I moved on. He started working for a new leader, and he thrived under that new leadership. And he ended up going and becoming an award-winning salesperson. He exceeded quota. And I thought to myself, it wasn't him, it was me. And there were opportunities where I could have been better, and I could have focused more on coaching and less on just serving on a platter what I wanted him to do. And when he didn't do it the way that I thought he should do it, in my mind, I thought he wasn't capable. But in fact, I was eroding trust, and I was really eroding his confidence that he
Mm.
in himself. And it was a downward spiral. So all that said, I think it takes sometimes having these really difficult experiences where you need to pause and reflect and figure out, okay, I'm not going to do that again. How do I improve moving forward?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I hear you tell that story, and it's like I'm reliving my own another story that I had where um I was a sales leader who I hired, who was taking over my old sales job, like my old turf, my old territory. And I was so, wanted to also help. I thought I was helping. And we would show up to these prospect meetings and we're doing our pitch. And I kept taking over the goddamn meeting. I kept
Yeah.
running the meeting, and it, bless her heart, because she did have a good enough relationship. Like that took so much courage for her to do this. We were in the parking lot, right? You're debriefing in the parking lot. And she looks at me and she goes, Aim, I thought you told me you were going to let me run this meeting. And I was just like, oh man.
Yeah. She held up a mirror to
She
you.
did. She did. And
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? She gave me coaching. She worked on my team.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, she just said what was so, and that was leadership journeys are exactly that. And I think that's why this work that you're doing is so critical, is that you're helping remind, inform, and teach leaders how to learn how to exercise a muscle that they might not have had before, and they might not have had anybody who actually truly coached them either. And so
Right.
this work is so powerful that you're doing, and it's making such a big impact. I'd love for you to share a little bit more about like the work that you do and what you're working on, so that when folks, after they listen to today's conversation, they can find you and benefit from the awesomeness.
Thanks, Amy. So as I mentioned, I've spent 20 years in corporate America working in management, leading sales teams. I was a leader of leaders at Salesforce. And I think that has really created a foundation of knowledge for me that I would love to share with others. And that's what I'm doing now. And so I am doing training and speaking and coaching of sales leaders and sales teams. And right now I'm actually focused on a couple different subject matters: coaching and how to get the most out of your team, and also communication, whether that's communicating with your customers or also showing communication internally, how to demonstrate executive presence and how to come prepared and present yourself in a way that is compelling. So those are my two kind of areas of focus right now. I've been having a lot of fun doing this, and I think it is allowing me to focus on what I love, which is teaching. That has been the best part of leadership. So I'm excited to bring that to everyone. And in addition to my training business, I am venturing in the same world that you are in, Amy. I am going and launching a podcast.
Come
Woo-hoo!
on in. It's so
Just
fun.
what the world needs.
It
is another
does.
podcast.
There aren't enough great ones. I'll tell you that much.
Not enough women in sales podcasts
Yes.
either. And so two of my former colleagues from Salesforce and I are going to be launching a podcast next month. We're calling it Sales Squad Pod. And we'd love for anyone to come on over and check us out. We are really focusing on the softer skills of sales, but also we're coming at it from three different perspectives. Lisa is a seller, an enterprise sales rep. Sarita is a manager of a sales team. And I myself have led leaders in a sales environment. Actually, Sarita was one of the leaders on my team in a past life. So all that said, we're coming at it from different perspectives and really trying to distill down what does it take to be a top performer in sales.
I love it. I love it. Hey, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one thing that you can try in your next one-on-one or to kick off your next QBR if you're getting ready to kick off your sales year or quarterly business review. What would you say that is?
There's a time for telling and there's a time for coaching. I encourage every single manager after your next one-on-one, your next QBR team meeting, just be more aware of how much time are you spending telling and how much time are you spending asking. And the way that a very easy way to do that is how much time are you speaking? If you're speaking the most, you're probably in the tell zone. If you are listening more than you are speaking, you're probably in the ask zone. And so think about that balance, be aware of how much you're telling versus asking. And I think that will set you up to have those opportunities to take those moments to have coaching conversations and insert coaching as a regular practice into your business.
Ooh, I love it. Donna, thank you so much for being on the show today. And I'm so grateful to you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining today. I know you're a super generous person, and a gift that you could give to someone you know, a friend, a colleague that you think would enjoy today's episode would be to send them a text, share a link to this episode with them. I do produce this show myself, and every time you share it, it helps the podcast grow and it supports the work that I do here. Also, if you happen to be a sales leader who is ready to take your next step up into a leader of leaders role, whether it's via promotion or you're ready to go and get that new job at a new company, I'm talking about director roles, VP roles, even CRO roles in B2B tech, where you can earn $500,000 to $1 million or more. The workshop I'm giving is an hour-long workshop. It's totally free. You'll learn the process that I teach my clients on how to effectively position themselves, effectively network, and own their executive presence so they can land the job and get hired and promoted into these big sales leadership roles in B2B tech. If this sounds like you, come grab your spot. It's waiting for you at my website, amyevanscoaching.com, where you can unlock what's next for you.